Okay, guys, so welcome everyone, beautiful people. I'm so pleased to be here with all of you. And before we start, I just want to say that this webinar has been organized by the Weekly Fasting Group. It's a group of individuals, very big international group. We operate over WhatsApp, and I'm the moderator of this group. And the purpose of this group is to cultivate the habit of fasting once a week, of abstaining from food for at least 24 hours every week. There are also people who extend it. And the key point is here the consistency. So we do it week after week after week after week, really cultivating this habit. And this particular habit brings lots of benefits to us, to our loved ones, and to our Mother Earth. So if you are watching the recording of this video later on, and if you are not in this group, and if those ideas appeal to you, then you will find my phone number. My name is Arik. And actually my WhatsApp number below this video. You just send me a WhatsApp message with your name and expressing your wish to join this group, and I will happily add you. And it's an amazing habit to cultivate, to abstain from food between 24 and more hours every week. So, and today, guys, we have a very special guest. We have Jesse, and how do you pronounce your family name?
Boudreau.
Boudreau. Jesse Boudreau, coming to us from New Mexico. And yeah, and we will learn lots of wisdom. I have a great feeling about this webinar. We will learn lots of wisdom about being in touch with Mother Nature, Breatharianism, Liquidarianism, and many other subjects. But we would love to start with a short guided meditation led by Jesse. So guys, if you could mute yourself so that we don't have any other sounds in the background. We will have a short meditation and then we will rock and roll. So Jesse, over to you.
Blessings and greetings, one and all. Thank you for having me. Appreciate your presence and your practice and your spirits. So, you know, it's why I got into this lifestyle. It's very fun. It's you know, health is fun. So I want to share with you today. I have very many kind of meditations that I work with. The most basic of which is the Zen style of just sitting. But to have a more of a guided meditation today, I want to share a taoist technique that was taught to be my Breatharian mentor, Elitam El-Amin, is known as the microcosmic orbit. So get yourselves comfortable, maybe kind of stretch out a little bit if you got a little kink. And we're just going to close our eyes and rest in. Start to relax your breathing. And now as we sit here, breathing in and out through the nose primarily. If you can do a longer out breath, that's beneficial. Now we're going to direct our inner awareness to various points on our body. All these points are connected with glands and chakras. And you're just going to flush the energetic body through your attention to these points. So starting with the dantian, which is like 2 inches below the navel. This is our connection with the mother. You sit and breathe for a few moments and focus on your dantian. Just relax. Next, we're going to put our awareness on our genitals. This is your root. This is your generative aspect. Now, put your awareness on your perineum for a while and try to root into the earth. The next spot is the tailbone. And just breathe into your awareness and focus your mind concentration there. Now put your awareness just below your shoulder blades, right in the middle, in between them, and just a little down. These are your angel wings. The next spot is just a few inches, about 3 inches above that spot. The next spot to attend to is at the base of your skull, where your neck connects with your skull. Remember to relax your shoulders and relax, your whole body as you do this. Apologies for the barking dog. Now, put your attention on your fontanelle, which is that top spot on the top of your head where the plates of your skull converge. That was wide open when you were a baby, and you breathed chronically naturally through this spot. The whole idea as we sit here is to become like a baby again. Loose and effortless. Now focus on your pineal gland, your third eye. Now your throat chakra. Next, the most important chakra. Focus on your heart. Try to connect feelings of loving kindness, compassion, or gratitude with your concentration here. And last, your solar plexus, just above your navel. Now we're going to breathe through all those points. And on the in-breath, you'll breathe up from your root chakra, up into your crown chakra. And on the exhalation from your crown chakra, down into your solar plexus and stomach. So I'll just do that 3 times. Great. That was wonderful. Thank you, friends. I hope you enjoyed that.
Wow, thank you so much, Jesse. Yeah, it was wonderful, energizing, grounding. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
that's, I want to explain just quickly about that meditation.
Sure.
The way we did it just now, starting from the root and up the back and around the back down the front, is the way to increase your fire mind, your passion, your energy. If you are too energetic and maybe anxious or angry, it's good to cycle it the other way, which is the water mind. You can calm yourself down more with the water mind than with the fire mind.
Wow.
So.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you very much for this clarification. Yeah. Jesse, so let's start our webinar. So before we actually delve into the subject of energy cultivation, Breatharianism, Liquidarianism, the basics, would you please tell us a little bit about yourself, what brought you to this kind of a lifestyle, and what is your main motivation now for staying on this particular lifestyle?
Those are all great questions.
Thank you so
So
much.
for me, I don't know, I feel like a lot of this stuff started when I was very young with respect to, permaculture and healthy eating and stuff. My mom got into vegetarianism when I was in high school, and we were all rebelling, well, it happened, but it started to sow seeds inside of me, and because of early experiences with, sort of consciousness exploration, shamanic medicine, and meditation and things, just self-exploration, trying to understand my place. I was just called towards this path of the development of health and consciousness, especially after my first few years of college, where I really didn't treat my body or my mind or spirit well, as many young people do. I was, partying and eating whatever I wanted, and, you know, staying up late and stressing out too much and drinking too much coffee and all those kinds of things. And all those practices came back for me. They, and they came back again later in my sort of young fatherhood, where I had gotten sort of backslid because of the stresses of the world and stuff. I started, drinking again, and, you know, um, just practices that started to really undo my health.
Mhm.
And so in about 2011, I was dealing with major allergies to gluten and casein and uh, lactose, and also just felt really turned off by meat for the first time in my life, even though I had tried at a younger point, because I was a Buddhist, to my hand at vegetarianism, but I didn't do it right. And so I, backslid, you know, and so when my kids were young, it just all came back. I needed to take better care of my physical and mental health to be able to continue to be a provider and protector and show up the way I wanted to in the world and do my work, do my mission of permaculture and healing, through land arts. And that became a big part of the path and the way it unfolded, just being able to be out in the sun and in the elements and working with plants. And I started, meditating again, and I was just exploring and researching. I came across HRM, the sun gazer, and I started practicing sun gazing and did the whole protocol he suggests, where you start with 10 seconds one day and then 20 seconds the next, and 30, all the way up to 45 minutes and down. And at the pinnacle of that experience, I had one of the most profound experiences of my lifetime. Just like activation, I feel like it was actually activating my pranic body. And it was, I equate it with, the birth of my children, my first tantric union with my wife, my first shamanic, plant vision experience. It was life altering. And I just felt this whole connection and flow with the earth and the sun and the universe, and how everything were these crystalline merkabas of light and energy that we're all enmeshed in and together with as family. And it was just beautiful. And started exploring with raw foods around that time when I was having these dietary issues. And I would eat a raw food meal and I would just be like elated. I'd feel so good and energized. And, the people around me were like, what gives? I don't feel that way when I eat. I was like, well, you're not eating raw. And had that whole wonderful experience with raw foods, and started to explore herbalism after watching a lot of, David Wolf and other people out there who are sort of leading this raw revolution. And so that inclined me to learn about herbalism and all the wild foods around me. And I brought that into my practice and way, and started grounding because I read about grounding, and everything just kind of, all of it happened. All these things are part of pranic practice as we understand it now today. But as this was happening for me, this was just unfolding as part of my healing. And so as far as like what motivates me to continue to do it, it's a lifestyle, and it's a life way. It's total freedom. you know our connection with food is a connection with the earth that is very beautiful, a wonderful relationship. But most people love food so much that they're dying from the food that they eat, prematurely, or diseased from food. And I realized that there's this need to gain temperance. And I started working with fasting. I learned about breatharianism probably around the same time, watching Jazz Muheen and Ray Mayor and Ellie Tom and Jericho Sunfire. And it just seemed like very appealing to me. I was called to it, you know, and I think that you kind of have to be called to it to really want this breatharian lifestyle, you know, because you do have to give up a lot for it. And it's really amazing. You feel so much more liberated in your body and your spirit. But it's good to remind that I like to remind everybody that it's only one of at least 64 city powers. We have much more potential that we could open, you know, through these kinds of practices, through, like you were talking about at the beginning, consistent meditation, consistent fasting practice, consistent good diet practice, you know, consistently connecting with the elements of earth, wind, fire, and water. It develops naturally, and you don't have to force it. We're so, we get so goal oriented in type A in our culture, where we want to get to the end thing, but the process is the beauty of the whole experience. So yeah, that's kind of how it's been for me up to here. And I just want to see how far I can go with respect to liberating myself as much as possible from the inside out, and having as good a time as I can on this planet.
Wow, wow, incredible, incredible. So a person who wants to walk seriously on this path of healing, I'm not talking, so maybe he will get to Breatharian or Liquidarian stage, maybe not, but person who really wants to heal in the big sense of the word, in the general sense, you know, like mentally, spiritually, physically, what would be the basics, especially if a person is just a beginner, what would be the basics to pay attention to on this journey?
It's so funny because it's the most simplistic things that we all overlook. Sorry about all my dogs.
No problem. They do not disturb us. It doesn't, yeah, it's really fine.
Good. Yeah, wait, I kind of got distracted by the dog thing.
No problem.
So yeah, the basics. It's interesting, as this path unfolded for me, I just saw that everything native people or people from the past did all the time was a health practice.
Wow.
So the basics would be things like, you know, get out and get barefoot on the ground every day. You'll absorb negative ions from the earth that are antioxidant, and that will, you know, start reversing disease. You know, get sunshine on your skin. You know, it produces vitamin D. Even being out in the sun and getting full spectrum ambiently through your eyes, you start to process stress chemicals like cortisol. You know, you need that full spectrum to actually process stress. And a lot of people spend all their time inside and on blue screens, you know, and so it's hard for their bodies to like process this chemistry of stress that's already in them. You know, exercise, you know, it can be low level, just like take a walk, you know, out in the open air, you know, or do some calisthenics, or, you know, play. That's how I got into exercise, was more the things I love to play with, skateboarding and snowboarding and hacky sack and, you know, frisbee, you know, silly stuff, fun stuff, right? And that is the number one health secret that is most overlooked, is a happy heart. Try to cultivate a happy heart. But then there's things like hydration, just making sure you get a gallon of water a day, you know, and adequate sleep. All these things seem like, oh yeah, duh. But most of us don't have a good lifestyle practice or relationship with these things, you know, a consistent relationship with these things, you know. And then if you want to, and then on the diet end, you know, get plenty of fresh fruit and vegetables with the raw enzymes and the, you know, hydrogen water locked inside. Hydrogen water is more antioxidant and more healing than regular water. Most of our water, you know, that we get from the tap is chlorinated, fluoridated, unstructured, you know. So being attentive to your water, trying to filter it, or, you know, we like to charge them with crystals or put them out in the sun, put it in a glass jar and put it out in the sun to infuse with sun energy. And then also just remember, like, when you fall off of your habits, don't be down on yourself. Just get back to it, you know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, that is really inspiring. And then let's say a person got those basics in, and then they want to go further towards those higher states of liquidarianism, breatharianism. So then what should they add to that in order to be able to sustain this lifestyle?
So I feel there's basically 6 things. One is going to be sexual temperance. You know, you're
Mhm.
gonna, especially for men, but men and women both, your sexual fluid is your cerebral spinal fluid, and the more it recirculates, these are the best of your cells, and they just enhance and get better and better. And your spine is something to be aware of. Do chiropractics, do yoga, Qigong, something like that, because this is the antenna and electrical, it's like an electrical antenna and receiver. And you need to attend to this, you know, and you need to have those oils going through. The other thing, the most important thing for breatharianism is breath work, meditation. People think about the fasting end, and that is definitely, that's the next thing. Fasting and diet I put together because it's an in breath and an out breath. It's like breathing. It's another energetic flow of in and out. So you want to have, on the one hand, you want to have with your foods, primarily raw foods and fruits primarily, because you want to have that at the beginning, at least the enzymes and the roughage to clean out all the mucoid plaquing and all the stuff that is plugged up your pranic engine, you know. And then you want to move more towards juices, but you want to be sure you get all the colors in your diet, because you want to feed all the chakra systems the colors that they need. So, you know, the blues and the blacks and the reds. Blues and the blacks are like your antioxidants and all that kind of good stuff, resveratrol. You know, your reds are going to be more things that are like good for your heart and circulatory system. You know, oranges, the carotenoids. You know, yellows, greens for alkalizing. You know, nutrifying, building blood, etc. So you want to get all those colors, and you want to honor your body as you go. So oftentimes we have like cravings and habits that override our inner awareness of what's good for us. So there's something to develop there that happens through fasting, raw foods, meditation, etc., where you start to feel how different foods feel. Greens feel different than fruits, feels different than nuts, you know, in your body. And you can kind of start to meditate on that when you eat. But you want to work with fasting to some degree. Everyone fasts every night unless you're eating all through the night, you know. But I find it's best to work with some kind of intermittent fasting if you're working towards breatharianism, because you want to get your body accustomed to more time sort of feasting on prana rather than on food. And that's something that's a skill that you build through the meditation, through the exercise. And that's the fourth thing, exercise. You want this body to move. It builds energy by exercising. And you have to have, if you're going to take foods away, you have to have energy, another source of energy to come in. So that leads in the fifth, which is energy cultivation. That's things like grounding, sun gazing, you know, and Qigong, where you're actually pulling energy into your body from the cosmos, or generating body from energy from inside your body, which is also the case. So you have diet and fasting, sexual temperance, exercise, and then energy cultivation, which is, you know, those things. But the other thing is mental attitude and right relationship, because it's really about energy balancing. You can't keep up facades. You can't keep up relationships that aren't feeding you or feeding both people, you know, in this lifestyle. It'll drain your energy too much. Stress, mitigating stress and not stress management, but, you know, stress reduction is a major key. And we're all living modern day lives. So when stress comes in, it's very often the case that people emotionally eat, you know, and I know I do. Even I've been going through an ordeal with the healing of my son. He has a neurological disease, and it's been a long ongoing thing. And I just find on days he's having a harder time, sometimes I'm drinking more liquids, you know, just because I need to self-soothe in a certain way. And you need to honor that. You got to honor your emotional body, your physical body, and your mental body as you move forward. And consistency is the key. If you just keep moving towards that and move more towards juices, you know, juice fasts, juice cleanses. I offer a great cleanse if anybody out there wants to do a cleanse. I have one I can share with you. And using probiotic all through this, and herbs, because most of our food these days is very nutrient poor because most of the topsoil is gone. So an orange from 50 years ago was 6 to 8 times as nutrient dense as an orange is from today. So you really got to work with nutrient dense foods, and it's important to choose to get that mineral density, you know, and to flush this pranic engine, you know, flush your intestines. Your intestines are designed to take everything from this holographic field, sound, you know, vibration, light, food, anything, and make use of it. And this is our center and our place of sort of the parallel processor of our subconscious mind. So tending to your root in that way by cultivating the probiotic in it, and by cleansing it out and giving it this nutrient dense solution that washes the cells and energizes them and electrifies them, and then there's more chi in the body. But it's
Wow.
also a time of age too. If you're in your 20s, you know, or even 30s, this might not be the right time for you to go breatharian. You're still in your educational years, and there's still things you may want to try in this world, experience more before you start to phase into letting go of that, which is more towards the second half of your life, sort of in the yogic tradition, you know. So just to put that note in there, not to rush it. At any age, you can use and develop through all these practices, but to give yourself that leniency to experience the world as well.
Wow.
I hope.
Well, yeah, that's amazing. So interesting, Jesse. And now I have another question related to that. I know from my own experience and also from observing other people, sometimes we get into this kind of obsessive desire to get there, you know, to get to Breatharianism, to get to those higher states. So it might happen that the person just pushes themselves towards that out of the mind without all the system being really ready for that. So a person just decides, okay, I will live without food. Whatever will happen will happen. But that's not the right approach. So so how could you like what advice could you give this particular person to balance themselves out on their journey?
I would say what Elitam always says: enjoy the process. You know, enjoy the process. Enjoy where you're at. There's going to be a time. I'm at that place now where I look back at some of the raw foods and things that people around me are eating, and part of me wants to be there with them, and I miss it. But I know that if I put it in my body, I'm not going to feel as good as I do now. So that overrides my wish, because that's the way it's developed for me. You know, if you try to push yourself too fast, you'll find you won't meet with success. It's going to be harder for you, and it's just going to slingshot you right back. You know, you may actually take you longer to get to your goal that way than it will if you just settle in and enjoy where you're at. Enjoy that raw food journey. It's such a beautiful journey. So much fun just to like wander through the garden, picking fruits, eating them, you know. Or creating these lovely, I used to make, you know, raw tiramisu with reishi mushrooms and all these, you know, it's such a creative, fun exploration, you know, just get into, you know, get into your meditation practice, you know, enjoy it. We want to build that future state that's how this works, is you want to build that future state of just a really great life, you know, just a really enjoyable life. Not in the sense of like people from outside you look at you and say that's great, but from the experience you're having from within.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because we rush ourselves toward it and then we'll be in that state and we're not having as much fun, you know, because we miss those steps along the way that are part of the maturation. So just be patient and enjoy.
Yes, I think also there are some people who want to go Breatharian because they are disappointed with food. You know, like they don't really they don't feel well eating, but they want to go there out of kind of a negative state. So what do you think about that? About that? Like I don't like food, you know, I'm fed up with food, like kind of negative state, and then I want to go Breatharian. So would it be the right mindset or not?
Well, I think it's kind of that thing of like you want to be called to it, and there is some of that. I think that is sort of a subconscious or even conscious understanding that people have, that they're eating too much, that it's too much too much, you know, and knowing that there's a simpler way to live and be, and that is the liberation that I've felt through this process. Like my son was giving me crap the other day because I was making him some dinner and I was like, man, I never had one of those. And he's like, and you never will, you know. And I had to laugh, you know, but it's true, you know. So it's one of these things where it's true. I was explaining, it's the reason that is for me is I don't feel as trapped. I think a lot of people feel trapped on the planet in their bodies, you know. I don't feel like everybody feels as liberated as we sense we could be, you know, as free as we're meant to be, as what is our natural divine right to be, you know.
Yeah.
And when you fast, you probably experience this during your fast, that you feel elated, you feel brighter and lighter, and that's because your body isn't working on, you have a lot of your energy, sometimes as much as 70% of your energy is going to digestion. You know, there's some things that we ingest that take more energy to break down than you get out of eating them. So it's this thing of like having that freedom and energy, and like having your dantian open gives you this sense of security. Like a lot of people eat for security, but it's, you know, emotionally stuffing down here. And when you get past that and through it, you feel, you know, it's like shedding skin, it's shedding what's not needed anymore, you know. And I can't imagine going back, you know, to like, I'll still, you know, put on my little write up, you know, that I primarily do juices. And that's because I want to be honest. I still sometimes I'll have like some salty seaweed snacks, you know. That's the one thing that I'm still clinging to. That, and if I make some beautiful, you know, vegan stuff for my family, I'll try a bite just to see if it came out right. My family's all eaters, so most of what they cook, I can't even touch, you know, or won't touch, rather. I could, but of course, but so this is I have the way my life is, you know, situated itself. There's all these little things that as you go. I remember Ellie Tom once, when he came out and he taught me, you know, I felt like I was very well developed at the Breatharian lifestyle, but then I was already Liquidarian, you know, and I already been on this path for like 10 years. And he, you know, there's a few things he said to me that really stuck with me. But at one point he told me, eat once a week with your family. He's like, just to be in connection with them, and it will advance your progress. And I said, really? He's like, yeah, do it. Just do it. And I was kind of like, okay, you know, and I did. And I got to try a bunch of things that I was like wanting to. But then what would happen is the next day I'd feel so cruddy that was like reinforcement to get me to wean away even further from solid food.
Wow, so interesting. So interesting.
So our brain plays tricks on us, and your body wants certain things. And if you give it a natural, gentle progression and you just go with the feeling and the fun, it'll lead you there. And I think this
Yeah.
is where we're headed to. I think higher energies are coming in from the galaxy as we get closer to the galactic center, you know. And I think there's going to be a time, there's so much talk about breatharianism and people doing UT and juicing and dry fasting and everything like that now compared to 10 years ago or
Right.
so when I started on this journey, that I can see, just like vegetarian and veganism. Now veganism is like huge, you know, it's enormous.
Absolutely.
So I think this is where we're all headed to, and it's our natural state. And it will open up our psychic abilities, and you know, this is the beginning of ascension time, is my perception, and from what I've studied and what I experience. So
Yeah.
we're all going, let's just have fun as we go.
Yes, absolutely. Jesse, so we're going to open our microphones to questions in a very short time. But I just wanted to ask you, what is your average quantity of liquids that you consume throughout the day? And what kind of liquids, in addition to juices, do you consume?
So it varies day by day, because I've been doing dry fasting every day. So I'll dry fast 20 hours one day and then 16 hours or so the next day. So the days that I do 20 hours, I have a shorter window I allow myself, because I like to do, that's another thing that I never talked about, is set time and cycles. The best time to have stuff is between noon and like 6.
Okay.
You know, because before that, between 7-11, your body's detoxing naturally. So if you can stay fasted during that time, you're going to get amplified detoxification, you know. And then your body's high digestion is between noon and 6. So that's a good thing to consume time to consume things. And plus, when you're liquidarian, you want to stop before it gets too late, because then otherwise you're going to be up all night peeing, you know, and not sleeping very well.
Okay.
So I don't really regulate the amount I do. I just do whatever I feel. My mainstays, that is my core nutrition, is part of the superfoods the superfood company that I'm a part of. That's the juices that I use, because I have a permaculture farm. I have 3 boys. I have, a home-based business. I loved juicing and that whole journey, but it takes so much time. And these superfood juices are raw, enzymatic, rich, and more nutrient dense than a lot of the stuff I could juice from the store, because of the way it's grown and processed. And it's also infused with all kinds of superfoods, medicinal mushrooms, rhodiola, ginseng. So I really like to work with the herbs and stuff. So my main thing, I take the power shake in the morning. In the midday, I'll usually do the vanilla chai super meal love, which is like a medicinal mushroom, chai blend thing. And then in the evening, I do like a chocolate elixir, medicinal mushroom elixir.
That's
And
amazing.
aside
Jesse,
from
so
that,
I just want to clarify. So you're talking about different powders that you produce that you can just mix with water. Yeah, that's the idea.
yeah, it's a company that I'm a part of. I don't produce them, but they're powders that they have a special process where they grow the stuff and they take it right off the field, so it's super nutrient dense. Push it right away, and then they have a special drying process that keeps all the enzymes and nutrient density high.
So I'm interested. Do you ship to Israel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's that? You make superfood juices?
I am interested. I would love to try.
Oh,
Do you ship to Israel?
you can get it internationally, but I don't know with shipping costs how how it's going to be with the gas prices and everything right now.
Okay,
But
I
I'd be
see.
glad to share it with you for sure. I'm happy to share with anyone. You know, it primarily distribute to Canada, Europe, and the U.S. So I'm sorry
Okay.
to friends in Africa, Israel, and other wonderful places. But yeah, we can ship it internationally too, and I'm glad to help you with that. But I just don't know what the shipping prices are right now.
Okay, okay. Okay, guys. So meanwhile, we got few questions in the chat. So let's see. I'm opening the chat, and but maybe so we have something from Rokas Godel. So instead of me reading that, Rokas, if you could just unmute yourself and ask directly, that's the best thing. Direct communication. Rokas.
Oh,
Okay, probably he's not here. Okay, so I will just read it then. What does our guest do for creative expression? That's the question. What do you do for creative expression?
Oh, me? Yeah, that's another very important point. Very important. Gardening for me is one of the arts that I love, but I'm a musician too. I'm a drummer, and that's drumming and board sports are like my creative, conduit.
Wow, wow. That's
Yeah, fun
amazing.
stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey guys, I just I was working doing some things. I have another question. So, what was the longest dry fast that Jesse has undergone? And also,
96
if
hours.
he has anything to add about his creative expressions, also.
Yeah, the longest I've done is 96 hours. As Ellie Tom talks about, there's people who do much longer dry fasts, but if you're trying to entrain to the breatharian state, you want something you can do day after day. You want to build yourself to a place where you can sustain easily what you're trying to express out with day after day. So first, for me, it started with I think I did a 24-hour dry fast, and then I did a 36-hour dry fast, and I did a 48-hour dry fast. And it's good. The body likes this. It's called epigenetics. We can get our genome to do whatever we want, but we have to stretch ourselves there slowly. This is hormesis. This is also like weightlifting. That's the same process in the body of hormesis, where you break the body down, but it builds back stronger. So the same thing with fasting and moving to the breatharian state is you want to get yourself to be able to open up to this more and more slowly and gently so that you're strong doing it. So, and yeah, the creative outflow, I love, making my video content. I love, here, let me just turn this around here a little bit. There's my cob cottage that I built for my sons. I love to build with cob and work in the forest garden. That's my number one creative outflow. At the moment, though, as I get older, I'm feeling music coming in more and more, and that's really just such a joy. Life is music. We're in a symphony of harmony, and as the Buddhists point out, we're actually living on a heaven world here on earth, but we can make a mess out of it. We're so free and we're godlike creatures here that we can create a mess out of it if we want to, and we have.
Absolutely.
We can get back to
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, then we have a few questions. A question from Sanjela. So Sanjela, if you're listening, just unmute yourself and maybe you could ask directly. Okay, I will start reading it and then maybe she will join. So she's
I'm here.
Okay, Sanjela, sorry. Hello.
Hi, Sanjela.
Hello. Very nice conversation here. We're learning a lot from your sharing. Thank you. I was just in terms of probiotic, will eating oranges and other fruits like grapes, grapefruits produce enough probiotic that we will be getting from the fruits, or do you advise we need to buy separate probiotic from a health food shop? Because I've heard that fruits would be enough to give us those good bacteria. But
So
I want to hear your point of view as well.
that's a great question. And it's like, kind of like my answer to the other questions, like when you put yourself out into nature, you start to develop more of a, probiotic microbiome, naturally. More than 60%, 60 to 90% of our body is microorganisms that aren't us. And so when you're eating from the garden, that's the thing of it. Most of our produce we're buying from the store, and unwashed produce from the store is a little iffy. It's been handled so many times. It's gone through boxes and crates and, what have you. So I like to wash produce from the store. But if you're taking stuff from the garden, there's, lactobacillus all on it. Unless you're eating the orange peel, you're not going to get the probiotic that's on the orange from the orange. But the orange peel actually has more medicinal benefit than the orange itself, and especially for sort of detoxifying, and cleansing out the body of, pathogens and bacteria and what have you, bad bacteria. But so when you go out and you're barefoot or touching the soil, your body actually absorbs microorganisms through your skin. Aside from that, I suggest people work with doing some lacto fermentation, in their kitchen, maybe making some, lacto fermented chutney or some sauerkraut or, kimchi. That's a good way to get free indigenous, good probiotic. Most of the probiotics from the store are like massive populations of like one or two lactobacilli, like acidophilus, or what's the other super popular one? I forget at the moment. But when you do that home crafting of ferments, you get like a whole diversity of microorganisms. I also, with the company I share, have a probiotic that is, I'm really enthused about it because it's the only probiotic on the market that's been clinically proven to take up to 70% of the glyphosate out of your body. Which, are you familiar with glyphosate? She's muted. Well, just to inform, glyphosate is a remnant from Vietnam. It's Agent Orange. They use it. What it is a super strong antibiotic, and they use it as a herbicide because it kills the biota in the soil so that the plants can uptake nutrient. And so this is in the air and the water, a lot of the food, even the organic food, because it's just grown downwind and downstream from a lot of these farms. So that's something to cleanse out of the body for greater absorption because it disrupts your own microbiome. So there's various ways, but one of the best ways would be fresh stuff straight from the garden, for sure.
Justine, I just want to ask, what about the B12 vitamin? Would it be the same answer, just to take fresh stuff from the earth?
The B vitamins with, veganism and vegetarianism is definitely something you want to be attentive to. I also, like I said, I've been having seaweed. I'll also have some molasses sometimes.
Yeah. But I'm talking specifically about B12 because B12 is a bacteria actually. So
yeah, I think the way I view it is kind of from my experience with herbalism, every individual is unique. We all have unique dosha. We have unique genetic history, past healing traumas, etc. And so it's really kind of case specific. I think generally speaking, using B12 as a supplement is a great idea for vegans and vegetarians, as well as, being attentive to iron, and your iron intake, making sure your iron, lots of leafy greens, and once again, things like molasses and seaweed, just want to be sure, because the way you build this state, that's another thing Ellie Tom talks about and has been my experience, is you build it through a state of extreme health, right?
Right.
And
Very, very important. Yeah.
You know you're feeling healthy if you feel good and energetic.
Mhm.
You know, so if you're not feeling those things, something should be tweaked.
Yeah. Jesse, and I have another question, and then we will get back to the questions of our viewers. We had a few times Dr. Filonov on different programs, and I personally translated him as well. He's a Russian doctor who treats by means of dry fasting. He's a very famous all over the world. And when asked about nutrition, he said that there weren't any indigenous cultures who were completely vegan or vegetarian. So they all had some animal products, even a little bit of animal products. Now, and that's actually what people who advocate eating meat, they say that like it's a kind of a new idea, veganism. So you don't know, you haven't had such things in the history of mankind. So what would you say to such an argument? Do you agree with that? Do you disagree? And what do you think about it? Jesse, we cannot hear you. Okay, hopefully, Jesse, we cannot hear you. You got disconnected probably. Okay, so hopefully he will connect soon. Okay, meanwhile, let's go over some questions. So, let's see. Okay, so Elaine, are you here? Because when Jesse is back, maybe. Yeah, Elaine, you're here. Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm here.
So then we will just, because you asked about the name, so when Jesse is back, then we will ask him. And then Svetlana, are you here as well? Because you also had some question in the chat. No.
Yes. You can ask on my behalf, Arik, because my connection is not steady. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I will.
Thank you.
Yeah. Something happened to Jesse's connection. So let's see. I will try to call him on Facebook and ask him what happened. Let's see. He's back. He's
Sorry,
back.
phone died.
Yeah, Jesse, something got wrong with the connection probably. Yeah. Can you hear me well?
So, but anyway, sorry about that.
Yeah, no problem. Jesse, could you hear my last question? So basically, the advocates of eating meat, they just say that veganism is a new idea. You haven't had any traditional societies who were vegans or vegetarians, and we had the same argument from Dr. Filonov, who is a very famous Russian doctor treating patients by means of dry fasting. But he does advocate including some animal products in the diet. So what do you think about that?
So the way I feel about it is, I don't know, the way I come to breatharianism is through the Buddhist tradition. And the Buddhists were vegetarians, but they gathered alms, so they would eat meat if that was what was given to them, And there were Buddhist sages such as my favorite hero, Milarepa, who ate meat occasionally, but mostly advised against it, strongly advised against it, and lived off nettles for 3 years, and then became fully pranic, and it's one of these things that with respect to the breatharian state, I think people idealize it a whole lot, as like this perfected state. When really, like I was saying before, it's only one of the 64 city powers, that there's much more open to us. The greatest trick to open up is our our human compassion, wisdom, heart, mind.
Okay.
And to not be really hung up on these details. It's been something that's come up in my family where my wife started on the raw journey with me and started with, she does all the sun gazing, she fasts, she does, but she, like I said, she eats meat, you know, and that's something that just came through, is that she felt like her body really needed that. And the way I like to say it is, your higher self is just as smart as my higher self, right? And there's no one size fits all. We're all completely unique. So I think there's people that could move to this state. It's more of a place of compassion, you know, why I gravitate to veganism on the one hand for health, and there's, because that for me has produced great health in my life. And on the other hand, coming from this place of the Buddhist perspective of ahimsa, of nonviolence, you know, you want to tread lightly. There's something in this path about being gentle in your vibration, you know, towards others, being gentle in the way in which you trod on this earth. You know?
Yeah.
And so that's the appeal for me of it. Someone else I saw in the chat, it said, why are you interested in breatharianism? It's because of this, you know, freedom on the one hand. Like that was something Ellie Tom told me too when we were staying together. He looked at me with a twinkle in his eye and he's like, you know, this means, right? Said, we can do anything. Just imagine that. Imagine if you didn't have to cook dinner tonight, if you didn't have to go to your job tomorrow to make money so you could go to the store and buy, you know, this whole like chain. What if you were good to go and you could just head out right now and do whatever you wanted right now without obligations, you know? That's the potential of freedom. And on the other hand, this ahimsa, you know, nonviolence.
Yeah.
I'm not eating anything, because plants are consciousness too. My wife and I've had this conversation a lot. You know, plants are living entities as well, you know. But a tree is giving its fruit to you. It's going to drop that fruit. It has seed that it wants to share, and it's like this beautiful gift, you know. The lettuce, you know, or the kale, you cut it, it'll come again, you know. But I think, like, I have quite a few friends who are Native American, you know, and they're very, you know, stare a Native American squarely in the eyes and tell him he's evil for eating meat. I dare you. He's in an appropriate relationship where he gives so much thanks. There's like all this, you know, care and attention given to praising the animal and the spirit of the animal and using everything in the animal, you know. So I'm not dogmatic in it in that way, but for myself, pure vegan. Yeah.
Wow, beautiful answer. Okay, thank you so much. Elaine, you wanted to ask something.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to ask, what is the name of the powders that you drink or that you make?
The company I'm with is called Purium, stands for Pure Premium. And the founder, Dave Asprey, started it years. He's one of the people that, not Dave Asprey, Dave Sandoval. Dave Asprey is another health guru. He was one of the people that started the organic standards for the world back in the 70s, you know. Was one of those hardcore hippie farmers up in NorCal that kept it really pure. And they grow their food 30 miles from anywhere that's spraying, so that there's none of this like wafting over that happens on a lot of our organic, you know, produce. So I really appreciate his commitment, you know, and he's studied for 27 years. He worked at the Ann Wigmore Institute for Cancer, developing the power shake, you know, for treatment of cancer patients, you know. So I love the powders. They're really, really good. So if you're interested, I'd be really, really happy to help you get those into your divine self.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested. I live in Canada and I tend to have a lot of fruit juice, and it's just not working for me the best because I feel like a sugar low sometimes.
Mhm.
Mhm.
That's the nice thing about this, is it's been devised to help people normalize blood sugar, because most people's blood sugar is like all over the place, you know. So it's very low carb, you know, and it has the carbs it has are things that are actually going to help stabilize. Like monk fruit is one of the sweeteners, and it's not carb rich, but it stabilizes blood sugar, you know. So yeah, just DM me and we'll have a conversation. I'll send you some links and
Okay.
stuff. Be glad
Okay,
to-
thank you. I will. Thanks so
Absolutely.
much.
Of course, of course. That's my passion. That's why I love this the company I'm with. It's passion. This healing for me has become so much of a passion. I just want to. Now I have a vehicle to spread it. So.
Good. Good.
Okay,
Okay,
so
I have
would that
another
be on
question.
Facebook? Oh, sorry. Would that be on Facebook that I DM you?
Yeah, are you on Facebook?
Yes.
Elaine, we will also put all Jess's details below this video once it's uploaded
Okay.
on YouTube. So you will get all the contact information. Don't worry about
Okay, thank you.
that. Yes, Svetlana, you wanted to ask something.
Yes, you're for such a long time on this journey. I really appreciate your sincerity. And I have another question. What do you feel to be motivated? What do you feel inside? Like, do you feel lighter? Do you feel some intuition? What do you feel to stay motivated for such a long time? Thank you.
Oh, I tell you, it just keeps getting better and better. That's why I keep going with it. It's, you know, it's a feeling inside. I feel more connected to
But
myself.
where do you feel connected? Where do you feel? In your lungs, in your head, in your
I would
gut?
say in my core, in my heart center, and maybe in my belly. You know,
So do you
it's
feel lighter? Do you feel
yes. I feel much lighter, much freer. My consciousness feels lighter. My consciousness doesn't feel as bogged down. As I was saying, I've been going through this trial with my son. That was not the only thing we had this year. We had fire come to our house. Two of my sons had health issues. You know, we had just a whole manner of things going on with us. And my former self, that might have overwhelmed me, you know. But
okay, but
through
if
this,
someone inside you, let's tell, oh, let's stop doing it. I want to try this beautiful chocolate drink, or why not to join all these people? What do you do with this little voice inside? All of us, we are having this little girls or boys, or all of them together. They want all throw on our desire, all of them combined together and say, oh my God, it's enough, 3 days. Now get out. We are coming in. What
yeah.
do you do?
Well, it's the kind of thing that, like, the lifestyle starts to, the neurons that fire together wire together, right? So if you can practice something for 30 days or more, you can entrain it as a new habit. The way this has happened for me is just doing one thing at a time. You know, at first I was saying, you know, having, you know, trouble with my like mental and physical health. And so I was like, I got to do something different. I started eating raw food and I started meditating. And those two things were vastly altering to my experience, you know. And I just rode with that for a while. But then other stuff started coming in, the sun gazing, the grounding, you know. The lifestyle just started to pick up speed, where I was just having more and more fun. So all these things that used to have a hold on me, because you're absolutely right. You practice your love affection with this thing for 30, 40 years or more. You want to actually create, like any relationship, you want to have a good ending. You don't want to break it off in a harsh way, you know. You want to wrap up those feelings, you know. And that's something that's one of the reasons why Ellie Tom suggested that I eat with my family once a week, and that helped my progression. You do need to let yourself go ahead and let yourself have those things, then just get back on, you know, on the track. And you'll see, like, for me, I had trouble with alcohol earlier in my life. You know, it was something my dad modeled. He drank, you know, and I had all these like connections with the fun I had in high school with my friends, you know, and drinking, you know. But it started to be a problem. And so as I was cleansing, and as you cleanse your liver, you become more, your liver kind of holds on to all this chemistry of it, and it keeps you physically addicted on top of your mental formations about it, right? So when you cleanse the liver, those things can leave you more easily. And I found, I was still clinging to alcohol because I was eating raw food, and so I just stopped drinking beer and I was drinking sake, but over time I remember going, it was New Year's Eve, and I just had this wonderful raw delicious food, and I was going to a New Year's Eve party, and I brought my little bottle of sake, and I went and I opened it, and after the first drink I was like, I am lower, not higher right now. I feel lower for that drink. I don't need this anymore. And that was it. And I haven't had a drop since. I have no interest at all in alcohol anymore. It has no hold over me, so there's things like this, that it's just, we're beings of pleasure and beings of habit. So what's pleasurable, we're habituate to. So in creating these new, that's why it's important to enjoy the journey, enjoy the process. As we habituate into new habits that are more healthy, if it can be pleasurable, it'll take easily, and it will just replace those things. I hope that's helpful.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Rokas, I just wanted to ask you to, I
Okay.
saw that you posted something, so please ask your question. Yeah.
Jesse, I wanted to ask you, what do you believe is the appropriate amount of movement and different kinds of exercise, like high intensity exercise, low intensity exercise, well, movement in general, throughout the day or throughout the week? What do you think would be the appropriate amount of movement in a day, and what is the appropriate amount of high intensity exercise, like sprinting or lifting weights, stuff like that?
I'd say it's completely based on the individual. I'm a very active person. I'm, as a gardener, landscaper, I'm constantly digging holes, moving rocks, digging, building, what have you. I do calisthenics. I walk and skateboard and snowboard, and it's really a matter of how much feels good. And as I think the way to measure it is the way they put it in Ayurveda, is it is important to exert yourself, and it is equally important not to overexert yourself. So that's a fine line for you to, define by your inner awareness, developing the mindfulness of how your body feels with respect to your workout. If you enjoy a high intensity workout, do it, and, just know you can get, there's a great YouTuber named Thomas DeLauer who has a lot of great science about fasting, and he's a bodybuilder, so he if you want to do bodybuilding, for instance, or you want to learn how to, you may have, just other health preferences with respect to your fasting lifestyle, that's, one resource, but you can basically have as an intense a workout as you want. You just have to be mindful of your energy. If you're developing towards breatharianism and you're fasting a lot and stuff, if you work out and overexert yourself too much, you're gonna need to eat, to reboot, and that's fine. Just don't be hard on yourself. Just get back to the practice and learn the balance. It's more with respect to the Breatharian lifestyle. It's more about energy balancing, energy management, and energy cultivation. Your energy and your relationships, how much you're expending your energy, and how much you're building your energy. So it's kind of a balance between those things. But I hope that helps.
Wonderful, wonderful. Then we have a question from Gary Vanova. Are you here? Something about sun gazing.
Just
Okay.
so you know, I got to wrap.
Hi, Jesse.
Yes, Jesse, but what did you want to say before Gary, Jesse was in the middle of saying something?
Oh, I was just saying, I got to wrap up in about 10 minutes because I got to get lunch for my son. Just to let you.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, Gary, so please ask your question.
Well, I just wanted to ask, how did the sun gazing affected him after the 9 months? Because I did this as well, so it just with few words because he's rushing now.
Uh, how did I feel after the 9 months? I don't know, I felt changed. I felt like it activated my pranic body. I wasn't even aware of it at the time. I was eating raw and doing all that stuff. But one thing I noticed physically that I was feeling was pulsing on that fontanelle, that spot we were meditating on during the microcosmic orbit. I could feel it opening, and I could feel energy flowing better through me, and that's the essence of the breatharian lifestyle, is having no impedance, having just the energetic flow, being in that consciousness too of no impedance. Everything that comes is a divine lesson. Everything is in divine order and timing. So yeah, and I felt also at the top of that experience, it was, I haven't actually worked with ayahuasca, but it felt to me like a DMT experience. It felt psychedelic in aspect, but more grounded and more connected, having worked with vision plants. This is what I love about the breatharian lifestyle, is actually all that chemistry is inside of you, whether, it's DMT, or cannabinoids, or all the things that people go to for shamanic healing, that's already inside of your body. And so, they say the secret's in the secretions. If you can get your own body to create it, you can have every one of those experiences and more, blissful, amazing, connected experiences, all just through the chemistry of your body. And that was something I definitely experienced at the top of that 9 months. So.
Wow. Okay, that's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, Jesse, so I think we're going to wrap it up soon because you have to go now. But of course, we will be really, really happy to have you back. So we'll keep in touch. Maybe we'll organize another one sometime later, because I feel that we could have gone maybe 2 more hours easily with all the questions people have and all the excitement. But now towards the end, I wanted to ask you to tell us a little bit about the services you provide, especially because we are a big international group. So what kind of services online people can get from you, and maybe to add a little bit about the products and stuff like that, so that people have the idea how they can keep in touch with you more if they want.
I appreciate that, Arik. Yeah, and I love to serve people. It really gives me, prana. So we do health coaching. So if you're interested in losing weight, or if you need help, dialing down some kind of illness with herbs and nutrition and, some these biohacking things, we do that. Primarily, I'm a permaculturalist, so I design permaculture gardens for people so that they can have food sovereignty. I think this is a key thing for the future, developing the soil and developing our natural abundance, and realizing that that is our source of sovereignty and health and true and vitality in this world. So I love to help people create gardens, or other things, as we create medicinal tinctures of wildcrafted herbs, medicinal mushrooms, and salves and stuff that are available on my Etsy shop, or these superfood juices and juice cleanses that are also a part of what we offer. It's all in the name of life cultivation. I want to cultivate the life of the people around me and the soil around me, knowing that there's only one of us here, all is one. And it's, a form of, for me, I rather put my money, or so to speak, my energy into people and plants and the planet than into, commerce and technology and politicians and such. So be glad to help each and all with any of that if I can be of service.
Very good. Jesse, and you also mentioned that you have a good cleansing program. So could you please expand about that?
A good what?
You mentioned that you had a good detox or cleansing program.
Yes, I do have a wonderful, that's part of the the Purium company, they developed a 30-day lifestyle transformation. So as I was talking about before, if you can do something 30 to 90 days, you can entrain it as a lifestyle for good. It becomes habit. That's what I like about it. Plus it runs the body through cleaning out all the glyphosate, alkalizing and detoxifying, hitting the body with some dense ORAC minerals, some antioxidants, and an anti-parasite cleanse. So, that's the cleanse that I really like to share with people. You can do it at various levels. You can do it liquidarian style. You can do it vegan. You can do it paleo or keto, but it's kind of nice because I can meet people where they're at, and you just bring in these powders, aminos, probiotics, and herbs, and then they have dietary suggestions that they call flex foods, which are basically no grains, no red meat, no lactose or dairy, just for the 30 days. And so if you're interested in doing a transformation with me, I'd love to help you with that.
Jesse, and does it also contain personal guidance from you, or it's just powders? How exactly does it work?
Yeah, I would be your coach and accountability partner and guide and friend through the process. If you choose to do a lifestyle transformation, I'd love to just, that's the other wonderful part of this, is like meeting one-on-one with all these wonderful light workers and creative people who have the same heart mind as me, wishing and working towards the same things. So
amazing. So basically people who are interested, they have to purchase those powders, and then they get a coaching from you during the process. Yeah, that's how it works.
Yes, and we can also do coaching aside from that, but that's how I run the cleanses. I would be your partner throughout the process, and you could contact me anytime with questions, and I just walk you through it and try to help it, be as easy and fun for you as possible.
Amazing. Okay, guys, so please don't hesitate to contact Jesse. You will find all the contact details below the video. And Jesse, I really look forward to having you back sometime from now. Really, like I enjoyed this event so much. You cannot even imagine that.
Much love, Arik.
Thank you so
and much love, Avi. I see you over there, buddy.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Jesse. Bye.
Have a beautiful day, everyone.
Have a
Be
beautiful
well.
day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.